Look at the weather.
It's beautiful here.
Non-stop rain.
Oh, man, it is a blazer out there.
It's cold and it's shivery.
It is cold.
Really coming down here.
I really enjoy your weather reports.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, we're talking weather in a whole new way. From historical events to what's coming up, plus weather news, science, safety, fun facts, and more.
I like where this is going.
This is Weather Weekly. Weather Weekly with Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey.
It is episode 211 of Weather Weekly. Good to be with you here after an extremely snowy week over the last 7 days. Picking up more snow to date than we've had in over a decade to date. All right. It's been quite a run here to open up the month of January, and we might not be done. Winter really grabbing hold here for the long term. We've got big shots of cold coming up. We've got some, maybe some snow chances here in the works. We'll kind of walk you through what we know and what still looks to be a pretty active forecast. We'll break that down in the week ahead for January 13th, 2025. That's next here on Weather Weekly. It is the week ahead for January 13th, 2025. And again, we're going to be kind of settling into this really cold pattern here over the next couple of days. So what we just experienced coming out of the weekend, obviously we had several inches of snow again Friday. And then a quick hitting clipper system that moved in on Sunday. And what that did, it gave a little quick, dusting of snow in some areas. But what ends up happening is, so these clippers end up coming from the north and west, right? We call them Alberta clippers. So they originate kind of from Alberta or from that area in Canada. And so they're usually very fast moving systems. You don't get a ton of snow with those types of systems. And then it's usually followed by a shot of cold or Arctic air. And so we're going to get a couple of these coming our way over the extended period. Okay. So we already had that come through Sunday night, now leading into Monday, the 13th. We're likely going to have our high temperatures shortly after midnight. So you'll probably have numbers around 20 or upper teens, that kind of thing. And then we're just going to slowly see those numbers tumble as we go through the day. All right. Probably hanging out in the mid-teens by around mid-morning. They'll continue to kind of fluctuate a little bit. I don't think it's going to be like a free fall, but definitely not going to be, it's just going to be very steady and cold throughout the day. So I've got highs, again, right around 20, but much of your afternoon's probably going to be hanging out in the teens throughout the day. And we should stay pretty quiet. All right, just a partly cloudy sky. Could have some wind gusts as high as 20, so that could put our wind chills in the single digits, low single digits of that throughout the day. For Monday night, again, really cold, partly cloudy. I think air temperature lows will fall to the single digits. Wind chills will probably be around 0 to 5 below when you wake up Tuesday morning. So bitter cold stuff. Let's go into Tuesday. We do have another system kind of rolling through here. And this is, again, got the, kind of a clipper. It's not going to be even colder shot. It just kind of reinforces the cold for Tuesday. It doesn't look like it. Like I said, these types of systems don't usually come with significant snowfall. However, because it is so cold, you don't need much. You get these higher snowfall ratios or snowfall rates. I talked a little bit about that, I think, in last week's podcast. So numbers will probably be into the mid-teens on Tuesday. Fine-tune the timing, but what I can see now, I lean toward much of the morning drive being okay. I am a little more concerned for the afternoon commute, that we could have around an inch, maybe 2 on the extreme side. Okay, so this isn't going to be a big hit, but I do think, and again, obviously it's cold, everything will stick. So maybe around an inch during, between lunchtime and dinner time on Tuesday with this clipper coming in. Again, highs into the mid-teens. Not super gusty. You could have wind gusts as high as 20. So that's going to be enough to really tank the wind chills again. So that will bring that reinforcing shot of cold. In fact, I think Tuesday night will dry out, partly cloudy, but it will actually have an air temperature low of around 3 below. Now, I don't think we're going to have super gusty winds, so you shouldn't have a huge separation in wind chill, but even a very light breeze probably could send our wind chill into that 10 below area through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. So Wednesday morning is going to be a really, really cold start. Let's head into Wednesday. Mostly sunny, I think, for much of the day. Highs into the mid-teens again. So just, we're continuing with this very consistent cold through the first half of the week. And I do see maybe a very slight chance of a flurry after midnight on Wednesday night. Should not bring any significant issues. It will bring mostly cloudy skies, so that should help the temperature a little bit. It'll still be in the single digits, and I think wind chills will still probably be around 0 to 5 below. Thursday, partly cloudy. Highs actually will warm up a little bit. We'll be closer to freezing. I don't know if we quite get there, but should be up to around 30 on Thursday. Thursday night, we're mostly cloudy and dry, highs into the low 20s. Friday, then, and this is where things get a little hairy, and that's what we're going to have to kind of keep an eye on. It does appear that we're going to have a late week system. Again, this one's going to be one of these southern systems, okay? So the difference, all right, usually get two type of winter systems. You get the clippers, right, that I already kind of talked about. And then you get these southern systems. We called them in college panhandle hooks because they kind of originated from the Texas panhandle, okay? Usually these are the more potent systems. That's what we've picked up the last couple of snows with. When you go back to our previous weekend, when we picked up, almost 10 inches of snow in many areas, and then even this last Friday system, we were kind of getting a glancing blow. We were on the northern end of it. Heavier snowfall amounts were south of Indiana, but still a lot of moisture and then meshing with the cold. So this system is going to be another one of those panhandle hooks, one of these southern systems. Track is still iffy, but it does look like we may be just warm enough heading into Friday, just warm enough that we may see that into rain Friday late and then into Friday night. I got highs in the mid-30s, which would put us back to average for the first time in a long time, put us above freezing for the first time in a long time. And then rain chances continue into Friday evening. Now, at some point, we feel like the switch will be flipped Friday into Saturday, and we go from rain to snow. Now, the question is going to be, how much snow? Tough to tell right now. The models are leaning much more toward rain, which would mean, obviously, much lower snowfall amounts. So we will see in terms of how that kind of plays out. There's a lot that's going to happen in these model projections over the next several days. So if we think it's going to be something significant, obviously we will be updating the social medias. We'll do a special podcast as well, like we did with the big winter storm we had last weekend, this couple weekends ago. So we'll watch that. Just stay alert to it. When you're this far out, you just kind of have to broad brush it a little bit. It does have us. What's interesting is, if you really look at the long term in the models, the pattern stays very active with several of these southern systems, but really who takes the brunt in a lot of these model runs are going to be areas down south, because we're going to get these huge plunges of Arctic air that'll be coming in, I think, maybe by the end of next week into the weekend. If you just go beyond the next 7 days, it's this southern system is going to yank down another surge of cold air. And there's some hints maybe early in the week. So this would be the week of January 20th that we could get more significant storms coming through the eastern half of the country. Let's just kind of keep it, broad brush that a little bit. It could literally be from Indiana all the way down to Alabama. Like I said, I don't like to get too in detail when you're talking that far out, but it is interesting. If you watch the models, you're starting to see this kind of repeat performance of big system coming out of Texas along the Gulf Coast, Snow, mix, rain, massive system like we've had the past couple of rounds here over the past week and a half, followed by a huge plunge of Arctic air. Okay, that just seems to be the pattern that we currently just kind of stand in right now. Let's talk about the numbers here. I took you into Saturday, and actually the national blend of models that we look at has Friday as warm as 40. So it's still a little iffy. I said mid 30s, but hey, I mean, we could go, we could get close to 40. And I will say, I don't think we're going to get heavy rain. If the projection holds through, it looks like it's going to be more of a potent system along the Gulf Coast and then probably the East Coast where it really kind of gets its act together. But even with a little bit of rain, we've got a ton of snow on the ground. You get up to 40, you're going to get some melting, not a significant amount. But if you add some rain to it, that's going to aid in the melting. That we're going to have to watch for some flooding, ice jams, obviously, in some of the creeks and streams. Make sure you're clearing your drain out in your neighborhood because it may be jammed up with ice and snow. Again, you're not going to get all of it melted, but just something to kind of keep in mind. Now, I mentioned that we go into the Arctic plunge going into the following week. I'll take you into the next few days. Saturday, highs in the mid-30s, but then by Sunday, the 19th, we're barely making it out of the teens for highs, lower 20s. And then I think we've got highs in the teens Monday, the 20th, Tuesday, the 21st, and Wednesday, the 22nd, maybe sneaking into the low 20s. So again, just to kind of reiterate that point that we're not getting locked out of this pattern anytime soon. Unfortunately, for those of you that are wanting some warmer days ahead. We will look at the 8 to 14 day outlook here and just kind of look at some stats where we stand right now for the month of January as well. That's next here on Weather Week. All right, just some real quick stats for you here. I think you'll find this interesting. So the total snowfall that we've had for the snow season, okay? And we kind of separate this a little bit in the weather world, so bear with me. I don't know if I've ever fully explained it. I know I mentioned that we have, our seasons are broken in 3-month increments. So our winter season in the weather world is December, January, and February. Okay, so spring will start officially in the weather world March 1st. And that is done just to kind of keep records clean because obviously dates fluctuate on the calendar when you're talking about, the solstice, the equinox, all that kind of stuff. So this just keeps it nice and easy. So obviously, we can, and we did this past year, this season, pick up snow before December 1st. So for the winter, since December 1st, we've had 12.4 inches of snow. But since July 1st, and essentially, you could take it back to, November 1st. But sometimes we get snow in Halloween. They have to take it all the way back to, the summer. Since July 1st, 15.7 inches of snowfall. Now, just to put that in perspective, we are, at least for the snow season, we're already on the plus side, 5.2. Now, that's to date, all right? Now, remember, we average somewhere in like the mid-20s for snowfall. So, at this point, the last several years, and I went basically from November 1st to January 12th, all right, where we stand for snow. Last year at this time, we only had 2.2 inches. The previous year, 4.4. The previous year, 2022, we had a half an inch. 2021, 2.7. 2020, 10.4. That was kind of the last kind of active winter that we had. You have to go, I'm not going to go down the entire list. You have to go back to 2014, the last time that we had more snow. And of course, 2014, that was a crazy winter, right? Many of you remember that. It was a wild, wild winter. Just brutal cold, and it was just nonstop, just snow, and we set records for both. So 27.1 is where we were at this time in 2014. All right. Yeah. So, and then the year before that, we were close at 15.3. That was 2013. So we had a couple of active winters back to back. 2012, we only had 4.4, but then you go to 11 and 10, 23.6, 12.6 respectively. So, we kind of had a long stretch here. You really look at it. Basically in the last 10 years, it's been this winter in 2020 when we had really any significant snowfall. And when I say significant at this point, because you're basically, you're halfway through almost the winter season. All right. And when I say that, I mean, you're halfway through that 3-month winter season for stats, right? Obviously we still can get snow in March, sometimes even in early April. But the bulk of our snow usually comes in that 3-month swath. So we're already kind of halfway through. And so when I say significant, you want to be kind of in double digits if you're trying to want to get to average, because you average low to mid 20s in terms of snowfall. So anyway, I know there's a lot of rambling there. Thought you guys might think that's interesting in terms of our stats. Now, just to kind of add to that, obviously we get the liquid equivalent there. We're just shy of around an inch. I think this is interesting. With all the snow that we've had, 0.9 is where we're that's it. 0.9 of an inch. We're actually down a third from average in terms of precip for the month of January. 5.63 is the number since December 1st. That actually puts us on the plus side of about an inch and a half. So, excuse me, there's some good news there. Yeah. So, and then again, just to kind of put it in perspective, I mentioned that for the snow season, we're all plus 5.2. Since December 1st, we're on the plus side of almost 3 inches, and we are to date on the plus end of 8.3 inches of snow for the month of January. So this is a big one. 11.5. I think we're already above, I believe. Off the top of my head, I believe we are already above our average for the month of January. I'm looking it up right now. Yeah, January 8.8. So we're already well above that. We will finish January above snowfall average. Okay, let's talk climate here. I mentioned that we've got a very cold trend here for the month, for the next week or so. The 8 to 14 days still reflects that too. I mean, it's a vast majority of the country, really bullseyed over the central portions of the country of below average temperatures. This would take us through the weeks of January 19th through the 25th. I mean, it's a pretty strong signal, right? I don't see this really releasing anytime soon. And the 8 to 14 day has us with near normal temperatures here. And yeah, that's about it. We don't have the new monthly outlook yet. That should come out probably later this week. So there we go. Again, watch out for some snow chances here. Just kind of there is a slight risk. I haven't mentioned this. The Climate Prediction Center will throw out kind of a broad brush of risk of heavy snows. It's kind of, think of it like the SPC. And they are, I mean, it's a huge chunk of the country, but they're eyeing the potential. It's about a 20 to 40% chance. Okay. Forecast probability that puts all of Indiana, basically almost the entire Midwest, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, has us in the 20 to 40% risk on the dates of January 18th to January 20th of heavy snow. Okay. I mean, it is a huge swath, though. I mean, it stretches all the way back from Colorado, New Mexico, northern Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas. As mentioned, it goes as far south as Tennessee, close to us, and then it goes all the way up in New England. It goes as far north as UP of Michigan. That's a wide area, right? Is that whole area going to get heavy snow? No way. But there might be a chance that there's some of those areas that will. And that's part of that system that I kind of mentioned to you guys. And right now, the way the models are kind of spitting it out, it wants to kind of bullseye more New England. But again, a lot can happen between now and the end of this upcoming weekend and early next week. So it's good to just keep you guys updated on those kind of things. All right. That'll do it for me. Always appreciate your feedback. You can shoot me an email anytime, marcus.bailey@wishtv.com. You can also reach me out on social media, Marcus Bailey Weather on Facebook, and I think it's Marcus Bailey Weather on TikTok for now, if it kind of hangs around. And then X and Instagram is just @Marcus Bailey. And try to update all of those platforms as frequently as I can. Probably more frequently on Facebook and X. Those are where I'm really more frequent at posting, so follow along if you can. You can get my forecast on the TV side as well, Monday through Friday, 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Wish TV, locally, Channel 8 in central Indiana. And you can always get our forecast for free anytime at wishtv.com/weather or our free Storm Track 8 weather app, although I think you have to search Wish TV weather to get that to pop up in your phone's app store. Okay, so that'll do it for me. While you're here, make sure to check out all the other great podcasts, all part of the All Indiana Podcast Network. Have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you soon, and God bless.
Discover more from Storm Track 8 Weather and Wish TV. Online at wishtv.com and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook. Plus, be sure to check out more great podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.